This is the upside, your gateway to the good life. And we're going to kick off our conversation this afternoon talking about education itself, how it's changing through the introduction of technology and innovations. Now, education is changing, and in Mopa, Nigeria, students are experiencing it firsthand. The Kogi State College of Education, Technical, has introduced cutting-edge tools like the EDON QR interactive board and the EDON 3D Simulation Pro, ushering a new era of learning that blends traditional teaching with modern technology. Students can now access notes, multimedia resources, and even recorded sessions instantly through a simple QR code, making revision and self-paced study more engaging and effective. It's a transformation driven by the Electronic Education Initiative, EDON, and one that students themselves say is changing how they learn, interact, and prepare for the future. What does this mean, Matseko? Because back in our days, we didn't have QR instant packages of revised work. Or we had to write everything ourselves. If you missed the class, you missed the class. That means you did not get the notes for that particular test. Does this mean that we are optimizing our brains because of technology? We don't have to focus on these little things now? Or does it make us a bit lazier? Just a question, by the way. I'm not saying it is the case.
That is a very interesting one to interrogate from a neuroplasty or neuroscience, I beg your pardon, a neuroscience perspective.
Yeah.
You know, what does science say about access to these kinds of tools? What does that mean for how the brain operates and how we think and how we process and how we critically think? It would be really interesting to interrogate that from a neuroscience perspective, because let me tell you, our brains are completely different to the way they were and how they used to function pre-information / AI era, you know?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's a conversation that we'll be tackling later on today concerning the introduction of technology in the educational space. The first one that we need to address is the G4S contract, which has sparked national debate on accountability and human rights. The Portfolio Committee on Correctional Services has taken a firm stand against G4S, the private company managing the Mangaung Correctional Centre, after a series of reports exposed unnatural inmate deaths and cover-ups. Committee Chairperson Kgomotso Anthea Ramolobeng expressed deep concern, accusing G4S of acting as a law unto themselves, with evidence pointing to brutal assaults, dishonesty, and attempts to obstruct accountability. Now, one of the most disturbing cases involved inmate Mpho Mkhumbeni, who died under suspicious circumstances after sustaining severe injuries reportedly inflicted by officials during a planned drill. Joining us to tell us more about this and the rights of prisoners in the prisons is Miles Budu, founder of the South African Prisoners Association, organization for human rights, and acting national spokesperson. We'll be getting into conversation with Miles right after this. It's 20 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la double K
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Estamos
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Well, let's get into our conversation with Miles Budu, founder of the South African Prisoners Organization for Human Rights and acting national spokesperson. Miles, thank you so much for your time. Let's get a response from the South African Prisoners Organization for Human Rights for the call for the termination of G4S contract at Mangaung Correctional Centre at the moment.
Thank you very much for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
Thanks. Look, the termination of the contract is something that we've heard during the heydays of the former Minister of Correctional Services and Justice, Ronald Lamola.
Yeah.
They went to court and nothing happened. G4S challenge that move, and apparently the case has dragged. Lamola went, and here comes the chairperson of the portfolio committee in Correctional Services and sing the same old song. Now, I don't understand what this brouhaha is all about, because it's only 2 years or 18 months left that the contract will be officially had to be terminated. This is a contract for about 25 long, drawn out years. Pushing and shuffling and screaming and yelling that they must get the contract terminated this day and age, it's a bit, it's too little too late. And by the way, this company is a multi-billion-dollar worldwide security company. They've got such a lot of money, they can end up making an offer to buy all the prisons in the country, want to run them, and because of greed. You see, when money talks, greed listen. I won't be surprised that the politicians might fall for a joke to say, okay, you can take over all the prisons as long as you give us the necessary funds.
Mr. Budu, let's talk about, just in your view, how widespread is abuse and misconduct, particularly in privately managed prisons compared to the public ones?
Well, we've got two private prisons, which 23 years ago, when they started signing this contract, remember, this is a 25-year contract. I was young, I was anxious, I was very active and adventurous. With the reading and with the influence we had with working with scholars, with intellectuals, with academics and researchers, we were totally against the privatization and two private prisons in this country, because it was taken from the worst examples in the world. United States of America Penitentiary and the United Kingdom, it's the worst when it comes to people who are not Americans and British people. I mean, if they went and looked into the model of the Scandinavian countries, people like us at a very young age not to be as skeptical as we were then. 23 years ago, our worst enemy is coming to hound all of us, because we and Pop Crow, the police and prison civil rights movement, the one that I knew, the real Pop Crow, we were all against the privatization or establishing of two private prisons, because we saw here empowerment of black people that were left behind during the gravy train and the gravy plane to the National Assembly, to the legislature, and to the local government chambers. It was a quick fix, money-making business, and that is what our opinion is 23 years down the line.
Miles, the report mentions cover-ups, pre-drafted statements from staff. When we talk about accountability, what does that say about the culture of accountability within this system?
These are two private prisons. They do as they please. They get away with it because here it is the money that talks, you know. And long before the murders that has become the order of the day, there were atrocities where prisoners were injected with foreign chemicals. Some of them end up being cabbages. Some of them end up never recover. And then the murders come now. It is the murders that we're talking about. We're not talking about the the torturing that happened long before the heydays of cell phones in prisons, which they call gadgets. We started to know more about this when our members, supporters, followers, and sympathizers starting to communicate with us using the gadget, and they call it the contraband.
I'm thinking reforms right now as you're speaking, because you're talking about how, the system just allows these things to go on. But what reforms would the South African Prisoners Organization for Human Rights like to see versus what is currently possible under the law when it comes to the protection of the inmates and their rights, and in matters of being able to ensure transparency as well?
Well, it is not going to happen in a hurry because, you see, for the past 34 years after my imprisonment, we have pleading and begging here in and here out to get a recognition and procedural agreement with the Department of Correctional Services. They never ever wanted to have it because we as an organization said to them, we want to play a watchdog role and making sure that Chapter 2 of the Bill of Rights, Section 35, subsection 2, paragraph E, as embedded in the South African Constitution Act 108 of 1996, is not something that is people are thinking about and these are rights that we, in fact, as a prisoners' rights organization, wanted to see are protected. But it never happened, even up to today. But I'm hopeful because South Africa is in transition. It's not stagnant. We have approached the national dialogue about all our complaints, including not to be recognized by the Department of Correctional Services. And we hope we will be given also an opportunity via the Mdlala Commission to also go and make a submission about the atrocities, the corruption, and the lucky-go-happy attitude that's happening in the police cells, the courts, and the Department of Correctional Services.
Well, we certainly hope that we see those changes come to fruition on the ground, Miles. For families who have, either a child, a son in prison who may be experiencing abuse, how can they reach out to you as an organization to help them monitor and document these abuses that often go unnoticed?
Well, even if we have WhatsApp groups for family members, immediate and extended families, close and distant friends of those who find them for the wrong or the right reasons behind bars, it is not going to work. It's never worked because you have politicians who has personalized the struggle, the constitutional rights of sentenced and unsentenced prisoners. They've personalized it, and they have used state resources, power, and might to make sure voices are not heard, and it all happens in a democratic, political, non-sexist dispensation. But as I said, relatives and friends who are on our WhatsApp groups, we inform them what happens. They have dismantled that communication between us now and our members, supporters, and followers and admirers, because they went on a spree for months, spending millions of taxpayers' monies to dismantle the communication between those who are behind bars, ourselves, and civil society at a time where there isn't any legal landline telecom facilities in this institution. Guys, you do not have a clue what is happening in this institution. You will hear it only from people like us who are not afraid to speak truth to power, to justice and authority. They've got a lot of NPOs and NPCs who are their darlings, and these are the organizations that make the Department of Correctional Services to get away with murder all the time.
Wow. It's a pity. We would have loved to continue the conversation and really just look beyond the ending of G4S contracts and also just how you engage with families. But is there a statement perhaps that we can look at, Mr. Budu, online very quickly before we let you go?
Is it a statement that I must make in conclusion?
No, is there a statement that we can perhaps visit online, because we've run out of time now and we'd like to direct the listener to have a look there?
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you some WhatsApp texts.
Okay.
And some that comes from Mangaung from those who still have their gadgets with them.
Okay. Thank you very much for the time. Miles Budu joining us in his capacity as founder of the South African Prisoners Organization for Human Rights and acting national spokesperson. It's 1:32. Let's check in with sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.